leader on behalf of. So Mary Ann, would you like to join?
Thank you so much. Wow, that's a loud mic. I've been invited here by Trammell and Bill to talk to all of you today about, well, basically to share a story, three short stories. And the third is the one that all of you will be able to help create the ending of. Now, if any of you here happen to be involved in the oil and gas industry, please raise your hand. I'm sure there's some in this room. But what I want to share with you has to deal with that exact thing. And first I'll share these two stories. When I was a little kid, I came home and I saw my father, he was the CEO of 7-Eleven, and he would bring home what he called his homework. And I would look in there, and there was one day, there was a list of all the countries in the world. And on the other side, there were prices, anything from 50 cents all the way up to $25. And when I saw what that was, I asked him, what are you trying to do here? He said, the shareholders said we need to manufacture something for $7.50. And being a 4-year-old kid, I said, well, why don't you go in and do the pre-approved $7.50 for some country that's asking for $2.50 and make everybody happy? Years later, in 1996, he came to my room and said, I want you to know we did that. And that community, don't ask me where it is, but somewhere in South America, that community built schools, that community built hospitals, that community built clinics, and not a dime was charity. And that was a big wake-up moment for me because I realized that someone like my father who had had the Jerry's Kids telethons and had a heart of gold, when he sat behind a desk, sometimes it was so easy to forget that he was making decisions about what kind of food people could put on the table, if they could make their bills. Next story. There's a wonderful man named Lawrence Bloom. He wanted to try and overhaul the hotel industry because he realized it was one of the greatest contributors to pollution. But when he went to the executives in the Hotel Intercontinental, they laughed at him and said he was crazy. He went out and he got Prince Charles to combine all of the CEOs of all the major hotel chains to the palace. When he brought them there, he brought out a list and he said, these are the 60 things we want you to change. And they were all the things that Lawrence had achieved. When he sent them out there, they signed the agreement. And in one moment, the hotel industry went from being one of the biggest polluters to one of the biggest fighters of pollution. Here's the third story. Right now, today, wherever there are oil derricks or any gas drilling, there's something called man camps. And they're called man camps because men make up the whole camp. And wherever these temporary camps are set up, the rate of women who become murdered, missing, or sex trafficked skyrockets. There are 3 things that can be done to change that. One of them is unannounced visits by the CEO. One of them is unannounced visits by police. One of them is changing man camps into family camps. Just by doing that, we can reduce the rate of women who are murdered, missing, or sex trafficked from 65 to 85%. It costs very little to make that impact. And that's the kind of story that everybody in this room has the potential to change the ending of. If you happen to be an executive, an oil executive, we're going to be inviting you to come forward to sign an agreement to do those 3 things. If you can do those 3 things, you are using your position in this world to save most likely tens of thousands of women's lives. So I'm going to ask you to ask yourselves, what is the power that you possess? Right now, we're living in a world where we are more interconnected and interdependent than ever before. And if you hold your position close to you, you're not only holding that position as someone in a place of power in an executive corporation, but you have the power to change this world. And the question is, what are you going to do with it? So thank you.